Hello and welcome back. My name is Dr. Christopher Gennari, and this is the Great Big History Podcast. Thank you for joining us in our last episode for History 101, 10 Questions, Art in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, from golden halos to bulging biceps. So we're going to talk about art in the Middle Ages. This is painting, pictorial art. And when we start, art is religious, representational, and symbolic. Things stand in for other things, and most of the art has a religious theme to it. There's politics as well. Kings and nobility always want to show themselves off, but the major themes are religious ones. But remember, things stand in for other things. Things represent other things. They symbolize, they are allegories for other things. So how were people presented in the Middle Ages? Well, it's religious, it's representational, and symbolic. So people were representational. So here we have three people. One person is bigger than the other two people. So who do we have? Do we have a family? A father and two kids? The father is bigger, is taller. And there's children. So that would make sense, except not in the Middle Ages. In the Middle Ages, it's representational. So let me put something on the bigger character for you to understand it. In the Middle Ages, you didn't need to do this because it was part of seeing the image. But for us, we live in a different age. Our graphical design knowledge is different. So people were shown in a representational way. So size equaled power. And they're going to be near the center of the image. So really, if I really wanted to be a medieval painting, I needed to put our king in the middle of the two people. I have him on the left. But the idea was a parent and two children. No, not in the Middle Ages. It's a more powerful person and two lesser powerful people. So if you were to do this, if you're watching the video, you see that we have the crown on the smallest person, while the biggest person is on the right. Well, that's an insult to the crown. That's an insult to the king. The person, the stick figure on the right, is saying they are the most important person in the painting. They have the most power. Their position is the best. So would you want the king to see this painting? No. That's a good way to be accused of treason. Certainly, your friendship with the king is done because they now know what you think of them. So power, position, title, wealth is all symbolized by how big an object is and where it is located in the painting. The more important, the bigger the person will be, and the more in the center of the painting will be. This is the first place you look, is the center. So Jesus, always in the center. The wedding feast of Cana is this chaos. This thousands of painting people. It's all over the place. Where's Jesus? In the middle. Right? The Judgment Day painting at the Sistine Chapel, which is on the wall when you walk in. Jesus, right there, in the middle at the top. You look up, there he is, and everyone else is being, because he's supposed to be in heaven, and so everybody else is being sent into hell. Right? He's kicking people into hell. But he's in the middle. Not in the lower middle, not in the right at the middle on the top. So what is the advantage of the Middle Ages style of art? Well, the advantage is very simple. Things are very clear for illiterate people. Remember, 95% of people couldn't read. So it's easy to see who is important and what the image is about and what the artist wants the audience to know. So here's a icon of the angel Michael. What do we know about the angel Michael? Well, we might be bringing ideas about the angel Michael. The archangel is a warrior, right? He's one of the 7 archangels. But what does the painting tell us? What does the icon tell us? That Michael is good. He's got the halo. He's important. He is in the middle of the icon. The other religious figures are around the edges. He's powerful. He carries the world orb in the left hand, showing the power over the world, but also strong, meaning the sword is in the right hand. Your stronger arm for most people. For the 95 or 90% of people who are right-handed, the sword is in the right hand. So who is Michael? What is this icon telling you? That Michael is a strong ally for you in the universe. Michael is good, powerful, and strong, worthy of your prayers, can help you in life. So do you pray to Michael? Yeah. Why wouldn't you? Michael is good, powerful, and strong. That's what this icon is showing you. What is the disadvantage of the Middle Ages style of art, of this representational symbolic system? Well, it's not reality. It does not convey physicality nor motion. It represents power, but it doesn't show Michael actually doing anything powerful. So it's a representation. It's a stand-in. But the disadvantage of this style is it doesn't show what Michael can do. Michael is all potential here. Michael's not actually doing anything. Michael doesn't actually exist in the world, in the universe. Michael is outside of it. He doesn't exist in nature. Look at the background. There is no background. It's a nice color. It's diffuse. It's meant to highlight Michael, right? But it's not nature. It's not here on earth. Now you could go, well, Michael's not earthly. He's an angel, right? But evil is here. And if I need Michael to help me here, I need him here to help me defend me against demons and devils on earth. I need him to help me against evil right here. So him being aloof in a separate space doesn't help me. So it doesn't represent just how powerful Michael is, how earthly Michael is. It doesn't represent reality. So what new topic does the Renaissance art care about? Well, we've mentioned this in other sections. It's the Greeks and Romans. Woo! Greeks and Romans. We're back to Greeks and Romans. Remember, the Renaissance is the rebirth of Greek and Roman knowledge in Europe. And so philosophers and plays and artwork and themes and historical events, right? Everything from Hannibal crossing the Alps to the triumph of Caesar to the gladiatorial events to the mythology, Homer, Virgil, the Furies, the Three Graces. All of that is going to be, it's all Greeks, it's all Roman, it's pagan, it's not Christian. And yet, here we have Raphael's The School of Athens, all of these Greek and Roman philosophers. Now, I don't know who all of them are, but I'm going to bet most of them, if not all of them, are not Christian. Which, in a Christian time, like, why are you making a shout out to pagans? Pagans are supposed to be bad. And yet, in this period, the Greek and Roman themes, Greek and Roman knowledge, is this rebirth is good. Maybe the pagans had something to offer instead of getting rid of most of it. So what did Renaissance art hope to achieve? Well, you kind of already saw it with Raphael's painting. Raphael's painting gives you the School of Athens. You kind of should know how that's different from the angel Michael we just looked at. What did it hope to achieve? Look like reality, to make paintings look like reality, to add realism. Here's a medieval Last Supper, and then there's Da Vinci's Last Supper. There's Leonardo's Last Supper. Notice how they're different, how they both have people, but look at how one is so much more realistic, how Da Vinci's shows. Now, my wife's great aunt would say the bottom one is not realistic because no one sits like that. They sit like the medieval painting. They sit around the table. Like Da Vinci ruined the Last Supper by having them all at a straight table. You know, she thought that you should just repaint Da Vinci's Last Supper and make it more like the one above, right? Because people literally actually sit that way. But look at how they interact in Da Vinci. Look at how the nature is outside. Look at how the room recedes, right? It looks like a real place with real people doing real things. To do that, you need two concepts. You need mathematical concepts that get you perspective and get you proportion. So what did perspective attempt to create? Perspective attempts to create a 3D image in a two-dimensional space. It creates depth and volume. The point of this is to make paintings look like sight. Well, how? How do you do that? Well, what is sight? How do you see? And for that, I posted the famous cover of The Great Gatsby, which has a woman's face highlighted over the city, over the highlights and the lights and the glamour of the city, right? And you can see, as you know, you have two eyes that are slightly apart. That is called stereoscopic sight. Two eyes that are slightly apart. So how do you see? You are seeing right now, you don't know this, but you are seeing this, two different images. Your left eye and your right eye see the world differently. They are separate. Now, what your brain does is combine them. It overlays them so that you get a wider edge to the left and the right, but you get depth in the middle. If you take your two hands and you put the middle fingers together, you hold your hands together, you hold your fingers together and you hold them out, right? You know how like you're going to cover someone's eyes, but hold them out from you. Now, lay one over the other, not on top of, but over the other, right? So that the tip of your middle finger reaches your palm, the top part of your palm, the farthest right part of your palm, right? The end of your fingers, right? And now just turn your hands so that you can see the sides into profile. And what you see is three dimensions. You see one palm on the bottom, one palm on the top, right? And they overlay each other. When you're looking at them on top of each other, you don't see that space, but you turn it sideways so that your fingers are now flat. And now you get three dimensions. You get that space between your hands. So how do you do that? How do you create that on a flat piece of canvas? You need what's called the single point, the vanishing point, where all receding parallel lines appear to converge towards each other. The School of Athens is perfect for this. Look at where all their heads are. Look at where the room recedes to. Look, there's even kind of a crease right in the middle because this painting was obviously taken out of a book, and you could see it. There's an arch, then a second arch, then a third arch, very, very far away. And right around there where that arch is, that's the vanishing point. Right there where the clouds are, right around there is a precise vanishing point. If you take a look at all of their heads and draw lines from their heads to the back, That's how you get your parallel straight lines. All of these lines, the room, the ceiling, the heads, the floor, the people, the stairs, they all converge. All of those lines converge on that vanishing point. And that's the point that's between your eyes. That's the point far out in the distance between your eyes. If you draw a straight line from the space, the top of your nose between your eyes, straight out, that will be the point. So that's one way. The second way is foreshortening. Things recede towards the vanishing point to highlight depth. They get smaller. They get more blurry. They defocus, especially if you use nature. Da Vinci's Last Supper. There's nature outside the window. But it's blurry. It's a little green. You got a hill. You got some sky, right? But the idea is to show things falling away, getting smaller, getting receding. That's how you look. Like, stand on a street. Don't do this with cars around, but like especially the famous things out west where the road goes. It looks like it's an optical illusion, but it looks like that road is going to converge way out on the horizon. It's going to come to a point where it's going to end in a triangle. Well, the road never does. The road is straight. The road is parallel. But because of how you see things, it looks like it converges. So you add foreshortening, you add blending and defocusing of distant parts. And what that does is it gives depth, a three-dimensional image in a two-dimensional space. Remember, the canvas is flat. The wall you're painting on is flat. You can't go into it. You can't do depth. You have to fake it. And the way you fake it is mathematical, through lines, through defocus. It's mathematical to make things look like sight. So what does proportion try to do? What proportion tries to do is reject representation. What it wants is the proper size of objects in comparison to other objects. So take a look at the Last Supper. We have 13 people, right? Who all have bread, who have plates, who have cloaks, who have hands, who all those pieces have to look like they would in real life, which means they all have to be proportional so that the bread loaf looks like something you could hold in your hand and would take up a good portion of your hand, but you could clench your fingers around it. Right? People's hands, the plates, right? They look like good-sized plates. You could put some food on that, but they're not ginormous. They're not outside of what a regular plate should look like. But look at the medieval paintings below. There's a siege being done at a city. You look at the king on the right. The king on the right is taller than the walls. He's taller than the other people. Why doesn't he just step over the walls? He's so tall. If these walls it's like the city was defended by children instead of men. None of that is in proportion. It's all representational. It's supposed to show a strong city being besieged by a powerful king, by a tough army. All those pieces are representational. Like, look at the tents, the king's tents outside the city, in the back. They look taller than the city, than the pieces of the city. So why does this guy even want the town? He owns tents that are 4, 5, 6 stories tall. That's pretty good. If you look at the bottom painting, we again have a siege, a battle, right? And look at the archway of the castle in the middle, right? What archway looks like that? How tall are these guys? These guys are almost as tall as the entire archway, right? The guys on the right, the French cavaliers, are almost taller than the walls they're investing. Again, not reality. Not reality. So how does one do it? And again, another mathematical creation. You need what's called the golden mean, or that's one way of doing it. But the golden mean has the ratio of a smaller part to the larger part is equal to the ratio of the larger part to the whole. So the idea is in the Last Supper, you have the table, but also the space below the table. You have the people at the table, the space below the table is equal to the space above their heads. So that you get these ratios that the eye sees of how things look in their spaces, and it's the golden mean. And the golden mean is a Greek notion. It's got to be a Sumerian notion, probably a Babylonian notion. It's an old concept in art, and it's a way of making things look more like they're supposed to look. It's a way of ordering the painting in a way that your brain kind of orders space. So, what knowledge does proportion enhance? Well, you need biological accuracy. You need artists to show bodies in motion. So, we have another Da Vinci paint. We have a drawing now, not a painting, but we have Da Vinci's movement of man, the Vesuvian man. And they need to understand how bodies work. So, this is a man's body on two different planes, the square and the circle. So, it's showing what happens to the body if they raise their arms and spread out their legs. What does the body look like? Now, notice there's no emotion on the face. The head doesn't turn. That's not important, because if you were to raise up your arms, your head wouldn't move. You can move your legs. Your head wouldn't move. But it shows the movement of the body on two different planes. And this was the image that NASA picked to show aliens what humans look like. This was one of the paintings. This is one of the pictures. The movement of man. That's on Voyager 1 or Voyager 2 that's going out. That's beyond the solar system and traveling. And if aliens ever find it, they'll know that this kind of human existed. But they know that it's not a four-armed human because there's a circle and the square. They're two different planes. So it's the same person, just whose body is moving differently. But if you want to do perspective and proportion and make things look like reality, you need to be able to paint the body as it works. So you need to examine muscles, skin translucence, illness, deformity, the connectivity of different parts of the body. So if you flex your bicep, what muscles move? What happens to the skin over it? What happens to the translucence of the skin? Can you see the muscles? Can you see the blood? Do you see the veins that are blue? What happens to the tricep? What happens to the shoulder muscles? What's connected? And so kind of the most famous way you can do this is you can keep painting people who are alive. But what artists will start to do is do autopsies, because they need to know what's underneath the skin. And you can't really do that to living people. So autopsies are illegal. That's desecrating a dead body. But artists needed to know how bodies worked. And you know who really needed to know how bodies worked and who really needed hyper accurate drawings of how the body worked? Medical science. Just take a look at Gray's Anatomy, a Gray's Anatomy textbook, and look at the pictures in them and how hyper accurate they are attempting to be. And so what proportion enhanced was the need for more knowledge of how the body worked, which leads to the rediscovery of medical knowledge. That people didn't treat the body. The body was not divine, because the body is bad, but that illness, it was God's will what was happening. And so you treated symptoms, the runny nose, but you didn't know why the nose ran or how the nose worked. What was there that you couldn't see? And so it leads to this rediscovery of medical knowledge. So, what advantage in storytelling does Raphael's angelic painting present to the viewer? So, we have, and I've seen this painting in the Vatican Museum, Raphael's Angel Michael. So, we have two Archangel Michael paintings, right? One is the medieval icon, and the other is Raphael's Renaissance painting. Do they look different? Heck yeah, they do. So, what's the advantage? Why change? Both images show the angel Michael as a powerful warrior angel. In the icon, we've gone over it, the sword, the globe, right? The halo, the wings. In Raphael's painting, Raphael has a spear, has the wings, doesn't have a halo, interestingly enough, has a spear. He's in battle and clearly winning the battle, right? So we see an angel with bulging biceps, taut triceps, powerful forearms, right? So we get the same idea. Michael is powerful and good at war. What is the advantage then of this? If they present the same material? Well, in Raphael's painting, we know what happened 10 seconds before, right? The angel Michael came out of nowhere quickly because you could see the fabric being pushed behind him. Very, very fast. He's flying through this fabric. That's the point of the fabric. His hair is being blown back. The fabric is behind him. He has flown through this. This demon did not see what hit him, literally. He's all discombobulated. His torso is turned. His legs are one way. His arms are the other. Right? We know what is happening. The angel Michael is standing on the demon and with a giant spear about to stab that demon. Meanwhile, the demon has just fallen over. So this is like a second later and is trying to get up, but only with one arm, because look at the demon's muscles. One arm has purchase, his left arm. The muscles are tight. The triceps are taut. The hands are pushing hard against the ground. The right arm, on the other hand, has a weapon, I would guess. I'm not really sure what the demon's holding, but notice those muscles. They're flaccid. They're weak. They're not, that arm is not doing anything. The hand is tightly gripped against whatever the demon is holding. Let's go with a weapon. A bow, maybe? So we know what happened 10 seconds ago. We know what is happening, and we know what is about to happen and what will happen next. The angel Michael is going to kill this demon and move on. This demon has no chance of getting up. The demon's head is turned. It's looking, its last vision before being destroyed is looking up at this massive, glorious Michael and the spear. If you take a look of where the eye is looking, he's seeing the spear. Not directly. He's seeing it out of literally the corner kind of his eye. But he's seeing his own destruction coming. And we know within a second that spear is going to go right through the middle of that demon's back. Why? Because you can draw a line from it. You can see the right arm, how tight it is, how the bicep is so taut. It is ready to release energy. The left arm is guiding it. You could see how hard it's holding that spear. So the power is coming from above. The power is coming from the right hand. But the left arm is guiding that spear into the demon. This is a realistic representation of bodies in motion. Whereas we have no idea in the icon, in the medieval painting of Michael, where Michael came from, what Michael is doing, where Michael is going. Michael just exists in that space. And that's what he's supposed to do. He's there for your reflection. He's there for your prayers. He's there to get you in the frame of mind to prayer to God. Raphael's Michael is doing stuff, is defeating demons, is defeating devils, is winning wars in heaven or on earth. And so it's a realistic representation of all of these bodies of motion, which the medieval icon doesn't have. Okay, congratulations. You have finished World History 101. You are done. You have finished from 15,000 BCE or 4 million BCE, if you want to start when we really started, to around 1526. The sacking of Rome by the German troops that kind of is regarded as the end of the Italian Renaissance. So we've made it. We've talked about love, we talked about life, we talked about war, we talked about government, we talked about destruction, we talked about how to be a good leader and how to be a bad leader. We talked about how to bring people together and how to divide them. We talked about terrorism. We talked about women. We talked about gay people. We talked about minorities. We talked about minorities who become majorities. We talked about different kinds of religions. We talked philosophies. We talked Confucianism and Buddhism. If you look back at your notes, we did a massive amount of monster topics. You did great. You got it all. You know this stuff. So be good, be safe, love well, and hopefully take my 102, where you'll see a lot more yellow and blue. Anyway, have a good future. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. You'll be fine. Do the best you can. Thank you.